Hello everyone, welcome to Sam's Summaries. This episode is a deep dive discussion into Sam Fury's summary of the book Hey Whipple, Squeeze This by Luke Sullivan. It has been created with the help of AI. You can read the original summary at samfury.com.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're going to kind of tackle the world of advertising.
Okay.
What makes it work?
Right.
What makes it flop?
Yeah.
And how some of the best manage to stay ahead of the curve and kind of, keep reinventing advertising. And our guide for this journey is going to be Luke Sullivan's Hey Whipple, Squeeze This.
A classic.
Which is it's been around forever, but it is like the Bible for a lot of advertising creatives.
Yeah, and it's interesting, he doesn't just offer sort of a how-to manual,
Right.
like here's how you make ads. He really digs into the psychology of what makes people tick.
I like that.
Like what grabs our attention.
Yeah.
What makes a message memorable? Those deeper questions.
Well, and he kind of kicks things off by talking about why so many people just hate advertising.
Right.
And I totally get that.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've all seen those ads that make you want to throw the remote at the TV.
For sure.
So what is it what does he say is at the root of that?
Well, I think he points to a lack of originality.
Okay.
If you think about it, how many car commercials have you seen with those sweeping shots of the vehicle winding along some scenic mountain road?
Like the music swelling?
Exactly. Or all those insurance ads that rely on those fear tactics,
Right.
Like the scary music and the accidents.
Yeah.
So many ads just recycle the same old tropes. And as a result, they all just blend into this sea of sameness.
Yeah. It's like they think we've never seen an ad before.
Right.
Like they're just...
We're starting from scratch.
Yeah, exactly. And so Sullivan argues that to actually break through that clutter, you need to be genuinely creative.
Yeah.
You need to surprise people.
For sure.
And he says there are two key ingredients for doing that.
Okay.
Truth and imagination.
That's a good pairing.
So how does that work?
Well, this is where it gets really fascinating.
Okay.
He argues that effective ads need to tap into real human emotions and needs.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be relatable. Genuine, yes.
Like you actually mean this.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
But at the same time, they need that element of imagination,
Okay.
that spark of something new and unexpected that makes them stand out from the crowd.
So it's like this balancing act of being grounded in reality, but also kind of pushing the boundaries
Absolutely.
of creative thinking.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But the good ones nail it.
So what are some of the tools or techniques? How do you actually find that?
Yeah, that sweet spot.
That sweet spot, yeah.
Well, one of the tools he suggests is something called the how might we approach.
Oh, might we?
How might we? Yeah.
Okay.
It's this really simple but powerful technique where you basically frame problems as open-ended questions.
All right.
So instead of saying, we need to make a commercial about our new toothpaste,
Right.
you would ask, how might we make people excited about taking care of their teeth?
Oh, I see.
So it's about reframing the problem.
To shifting your perspective, yeah.
Exactly. And opening yourself up to a wider range of creative possibilities.
So, and this is something you can use even outside of advertising.
Oh, absolutely. This is a great problem-solving tool in general.
Okay.
Whether you're brainstorming ideas for a work project or even trying to figure out, how to reorganize your closet.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding those creative solutions by asking the right questions.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But okay, so we're talking about truth imagination,
Yeah.
asking thought-provoking questions.
Mm-hmm.
But how do those ideas actually translate into a successful ad?
Right.
What are the steps?
Well, he really emphasizes the power of simplicity.
Okay.
He actually quotes Shakespeare on this.
Oh, wow.
He says, brevity is the soul of wit when it comes to writing ad copy.
Because nobody's got time to read a novel on a billboard.
Exactly.
You gotta get in and get out.
Exactly. And this really resonated with me because I think it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're crafting a billboard or, a social media post,
Right.
you need to get your message across quickly and effectively.
Right. Yeah.
People just don't have the patience for anything too complicated or, long-winded these days.
So like a haiku.
Yes.
Every word has to count.
Every word has to count. Exactly.
So do you have any favorite examples from the book
Oh, yeah.
of ads that really nail that principle of simplicity?
Oh, absolutely. He talks about this Volkswagen ad from the 1960s
Okay.
that simply showed a picture of the car with the headline, Lemon.
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 Yeah. Why would you call your product a lemon?
Right. It's so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But it's actually brilliant because it subverts your expectations and immediately grabs your attention.
It's like they're addressing the elephant in the room.
Exactly.
Like all those like nagging doubts that you have when you're about to make a big purchase.
Exactly. Like, is there something wrong with this?
Right.
They're addressing it head on.
And by doing that, they're building trust.
Yeah, you're like, okay, you're being honest with me.
So what's the body copy?
So the body copy goes on to explain that this particular car was rejected because of a tiny scratch on the chrome strip,
Oh, wow.
highlighting Volkswagen's meticulous quality control standards.
So it's not just about being like short and catchy,
Right.
but also about being strategic and like using that simplicity to highlight a key message.
Absolutely. And, another key takeaway from Sullivan is the power of storytelling.
Ooh, stories.
Yeah, he argues that the best ads don't just present information, they actually weave a narrative
Okay.
that draws the audience in and leaves a lasting impression.
So like those classic ads that
Sure.
tell like a mini story in like 30 seconds.
Exactly. Think about those Budweiser Clydesdale commercials.
Yeah.
Or, those heartwarming holiday ads from Coca-Cola.
Yeah, those are the ones that stick with you.
They do.
So what is it about those stories that makes them so effective?
Well, Sullivan points out that a lot of it has to do with conflict.
Oh, conflict. Okay.
Good stories often involve some kind of tension or challenge that needs to be overcome. And by introducing that element of conflict into an ad, you create this sense of anticipation and intrigue.
Okay.
The viewer wants to see how the story unfolds and how the characters resolve the conflict.
And so that makes them pay attention
Exactly.
and remember it.
It's about engaging the viewer on an emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something we can all learn from it. Even if we're not creating ads.
Right.
Whether you're writing an email, giving a presentation, or even just telling a story to a friend,
Mm-hmm.
incorporating a bit of conflict and tension can make your message more compelling and memorable.
Yeah, it's like that classic storytelling structure. You have a setup, a rising action, a climax, a resolution. You're like taking them on a journey, even if it's just a 30-second journey.
Exactly. And speaking of journeys, Sullivan also dives into how advertising has evolved in the digital age.
Okay.
It's not just jingles and TV spots anymore.
Right, we're like bombarded with ads everywhere we go online.
Exactly, on our phones and our social media feeds, like everywhere.
It's a whole new world. And how do you navigate that as an advertiser?
Right. Well, he argues that in the digital age, content is king.
Okay, content is king.
It's not enough to just interrupt people with ads.
Right.
You need to create content that people actually want to engage with.
Okay.
Content that's informative, entertaining, or valuable in some way.
So it's that whole content marketing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
he kind of goes beyond just saying create content.
He talks about the importance of understanding your audience,
Okay.
knowing what platforms they use, what kind of content they engage with, and tailoring your message accordingly.
So you can't just like slap your logo on a random video and hope it goes viral.
No, it has to be high quality, engaging, and relevant to your brand.
So there needs to be a real strategy behind it.
Absolutely. And he uses this great phrase. He says, make the idea bigger, not the logo.
Oh, I like that.
It's about focusing on the value you're providing to the audience,
Okay.
rather than just trying to shout your brand name from the rooftops.
So like instead of telling people how great your product is, you need to show them
Exactly.
through content.
Show, don't tell.
Show, don't tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of that?
I think a great example of this is the Red Bull Media House.
Okay, Red Bull.
They create all these incredible videos about extreme sports, music, and culture.
Okay.
And they barely even mention Red Bull in most of them.
But you still associate that brand with like that lifestyle,
Right, exactly.
adventure, high energy.
They're creating content that aligns with their brand values and appeals to their target audience.
Yeah.
And as a result, they've built this huge, loyal following that goes way beyond just people who drink Red Bull.
It's brilliant. And I think about all those brands that haven't quite figured that out.
Right.
They're still trying to just like force feed you ads.
Yeah, the old playbook doesn't work the same way in the digital world.
No, it doesn't. So what's the new playbook?
Well, to succeed in this new landscape, Sullivan argues that creators need what he calls T-shaped skills.
T-shaped skills. What does that even mean?
So he's talking about combining traditional creative expertise,
Okay.
like storytelling, visual design, and copywriting,
Okay.
with a strong understanding of digital technology and user experience.
So you need to be like a creative powerhouse and a tech-savvy digital native.
Yeah, basically you need to be able to adapt your creative vision to different platforms and formats and understand how people interact with content online.
So it's not enough to just come up with a brilliant idea for a print ad.
Right.
You have to know how to translate that for social media, for video.
For all these different channels, exactly. And you have to be comfortable using data to inform your creative decisions.
Data, that sounds a little uncreative.
I know, right? But hear me out.
Yeah.
In the digital age, we have access to so much data about how people are interacting with content.
Okay.
We know what they're clicking on, what they're sharing, what they're ignoring.
Okay.
And by using that data, we can create more effective and engaging campaigns.
So it's not about letting the data like dictate the whole process.
Right.
It's about using it as a tool to like refine your message.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between data-driven insights and creative inspiration.
That's awesome. I like that. And even with all this talk about digital marketing,
Yeah.
he doesn't forget about the human side of the business.
No, he doesn't.
He talks about like dealing with clients,
Yeah.
navigating office politics, creative roadblocks,
All the messy stuff.
the stuff they don't teach you in school.
Right.
And those creative blocks can be brutal.
Oh, they could be the worst.
I remember when he was talking about dealing with feedback, he compares it to being pecked to death by ducks.
That is such a perfect analogy.
It's so true.
Like you pour your heart and soul into this idea and then
And then it just gets like,
shredded.
yeah. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, absolutely. I remember once I was working on this campaign for a new line of sneakers,
Okay.
and I had this concept that I thought was so clever and edgy.
Mm-hmm.
I presented it to the client, and they just stared at me blankly.
Ouch.
And then they proceeded to pick it apart, point by point, until there was nothing left of my original idea.
So how'd you handle that?
Well, I was tempted to just give up and go cry in a corner,
All right.
but I took a deep breath, reminded myself that feedback is a necessary part of the process,
Okay.
and tried to see their perspective. And you know what? Once I let go of my ego and really listened to their concerns,
Mm-hmm.
we actually came up with a much stronger campaign that everyone was happy with.
So it's about being resilient, being
Yeah,
open to feedback,
absolutely.
and understanding that sometimes the best ideas come from collaboration and compromise.
It really is a team effort.
And speaking of teamwork, he offers some advice for people just starting out
He does.
in their advertising career, like
Yeah.
how to build a strong portfolio and land that first job.
Yeah, he emphasizes the importance of showcasing your best work, of course,
Right.
but also tailoring your portfolio to the specific agencies or companies you're interested in.
Oh, so it's not one size fits all.
No, you really need to do your research and understand what each potential employer is looking for.
And he talks about networking,
Oh yeah, networking is huge.
attending industry events, putting yourself out there.
It's all about making those connections.
Yeah.
Because in this field, it's often who you know as much as what you know.
Right. And any tips for aspiring creatives on how to make those connections?
I think the biggest thing is to be genuine and enthusiastic.
Okay.
People can spot a phony a mile away,
Mm.
especially in a creative field where passion and authenticity are so valued.
Yeah, be yourself.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to reach out to people you admire and ask for advice.
Okay.
Most people in the industry are happy to share their insights and experiences with those who are just starting out.
And you never know, that could lead to your dream job.
Exactly. It's all about putting yourself out there and making those connections.
You know, what's interesting is how a lot of the principles he talks about
Yeah.
apply to communication in general,
Guys,
not just advertising.
It's all about understand how to connect with an audience.
Yeah, whether you're writing an email, giving a presentation, even just having a conversation,
Right.
being able to tell a compelling story,
Yeah.
be clear and concise,
Mm-hmm.
connect with your audience on an emotional level.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's like he's giving us this secret decoder ring for human behavior,
I love that.
you know, for how to connect and how to communicate effectively.
It makes you realize that whether we're conscious of it or not,
Yeah.
we're constantly being bombarded with messages and trying to persuade others to see our point of view.
It's true.
Yeah.
And the more we understand about that,
Yeah. The psychology behind it.
the better we can kind of cut through the noise
Absolutely.
and make sure that our own messages are heard.
And that's where I think Sullivan's insights are so valuable.
Right.
He's not just talking about selling products.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about connecting with people on a deeper level.
And one of the things that I like about his approach is that he emphasizes being ethical
Yes.
and responsible
It's so important,
with our communication.
especially with advertising.
Yeah.
Because it has the power to influence
Yeah.
people's thoughts and behaviors.
And to use that power for good.
For good, yes.
Not to manipulate or mislead.
Exactly. It's about building trust.
Right.
And creating genuine connections.
Not just trying to trick people
Right.
into doing something.
Which unfortunately happens a lot.
Yeah, and it makes me think about technology
Yes.
and how it's changing advertising.
It's changing everything.
I mean, we're seeing AI,
Mhm.
virtual reality,
Yep.
personalized advertising.
It's mind-boggling to think about what the next few years will bring.
I know.
You know?
It's moving so fast.
Yeah. Where do we even begin?
Well, maybe start with this question.
Okay.
How is advertising going to adapt
That's the big question, isn't it?
as technology continues to evolve?
Like, will it become even more personalized and targeted? Will we see a shift towards more immersive, interactive experiences?
I was just reading an article about how some companies are using AI
Uh-huh.
to create like these hyper-personalized ads
It's amazing.
that are tailored to like your individual
Your unique interests.
interests.
But it also raises some concerns about privacy and data security.
That's the thing, right?
How much information are we willing to share
Yeah.
in exchange for a more personalized advertising experience?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there might be a backlash against that.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Like people kind of craving something more authentic
Yeah, more human.
and maybe even interactive.
Yes, like those immersive experiences you were talking about.
Yeah, like augmented reality, virtual reality.
I've seen some really cool examples of brands using AR.
And I think that's a good thing
I do too.
because it makes advertising less intrusive and
Yeah.
more like entertainment.
People are choosing to opt into these experiences
Right.
rather than feeling like they're being bombarded
Yeah.
with unwanted messages.
It's like advertising is becoming part of the experience.
Exactly, and I think that's a really positive development.
Me too.
It means that advertising can actually add value
Yeah.
to people's lives.
It doesn't have to be this annoying thing that
Yep.
we all try to avoid.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes Hey Whipple Squeeze This
Yeah.
such a classic.
Yeah.
It captures the essence
Mm-hmm.
of what makes advertising so fascinating
Yeah.
and impactful.
It's creative,
Yeah.
strategic,
Absolutely.
psychological,
It's all about understanding people.
and human connection.
That's what it boils down to.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of advertising,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Okay, I like a challenge.
Think about the ads that you see,
Mm-hmm.
the messages you receive,
Yeah.
the conversations you have.
Okay.
Are they engaging?
Are they memorable?
Are they connecting with you?
On an emotional level?
Yeah.
Those are the important questions.
And if not,
What could be done differently?
it can make it better.
And I think those are the questions that will kind of keep us all pushing forward,
Absolutely.
striving to be better communicators, better storytellers.
And ultimately, better creators.
Thanks for tuning in to Sam's Summaries. If you found this episode useful, let us know with a like, follow, and share. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to visit samfury.com to get free access to all of Sam's original summaries. You can also get any of Sam's books and other exclusive content. It's all completely free at samfury.com.